What's going on, guys? This is Bradley alongside Zach and our great friend Sutton over here. Tonight, we have a really fun video for you guys. We are going to be basically previewing the whole entire NFL season, sort of going, predictions division by division, sort of playoff pictures, season awards, Super Bowl prediction. We will end with that. Sutton from the Purple Rain podcast is here. I'm assuming most of our subscribers recognize him by now, but Sutton, how's it going, man? Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, it's going great. Thanks for having me on, guys. It's always a pleasure coming on the Charm City Sideline podcast. I started with you guys early last season, and I'm glad to know that we're still hanging out going into this 2025 season. So, we're kind of bonded in a way now because we've been through some trauma together, like in real time. I've come on you guys' show and had therapy sessions, and now we're gearing up for another season. So I'm excited about it. And again, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for coming on. We got Chris in the chat. What's up, Chris? Appreciate you for being here. Okay, I guess we'll get right into this one. We are going to start with the NFC, and we will start with the NFC South. Zach, I'm just going to kick it to you right now. Sort of give me your take on the division, 1 through 4. Any record predictions you got? Let's hear it.
Yeah, I'm going to go with who I'm taking to win the division because I think it's honestly a little controversial. I think the top pick for most people is the Buccaneers, but I'm going with the Falcons. I'm a Michael Penix truther. 10-7, they're going to win the division. I don't think anyone else from this division does make the playoffs. I'm not super high on the Saints. Their quarterback situation seems pretty awful. Panthers I have improving by a couple of games. They're still a little bit away. I like their direction, but overall, I like what the Falcons are doing, and I think they're going to take the division.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I would disagree with that one, Zach. I'm definitely going to go with Tampa Bay and Baker's Bucks. I mean, I was just telling Alex this a couple of weeks ago. I was telling him how proud I am of Baker Mayfield. I know, like, he started out in the AFC North, was kind of like a bitter rival for a few years there for the Ravens, but for him to completely switch conferences and actually kind of find his home. Well, he's bounced around a little bit, right? He's had a couple of stints here and there. Remember with the Rams a couple of seasons ago. But with the Bucks, it seems like he's kind of found his home there, and they kind of wrap their arms around Baker, and he's played very well the last couple of especially last season with the Bucks. And I think that going into this season, he's going to have a lot to prove. That team is going to have a lot to prove. I think that they have a good shot to win that division. I got them going 12-5. Honestly, I have them having a really, really good year, to be honest with you, in the NFC. So, there's my take on it. Tampa Bay all the way.
I love that.
What's up, Jane? Appreciate you for being here. I agree with Sutton, disagree with Zach. I still do think this division is one of the worst in football, if not the worst. I am probably a little bit lower on the Bucks than some, but I still do having them winning the division at 10-7. I have the Falcons finishing 8-9. I think they'll have a solid year, but probably not good enough to make the playoffs. Panthers 7-10 for me, and then Saints. I gave them 2 wins.
Whoa!
I think.
I was 3, but I mean, it's hard to say it out loud. Right? Goodness gracious.
I'd be surprised if the Saints won.
Tyler Shuck or Spencer Rattler, it's like, who do you like there? You know what I mean? Like, I don't really see a whole lot of wins coming out of there. And, I think that the Carolina Panthers, they also ended the season on a strong note. Bryce Young is going to have something else to prove going into the season. So, and I think, again, the Falcons are going to be scrappy in a way. I do also like Michael Penix. I just have to see it, in real time with him. I'll be interested to know, who do they play week 1? Do you know, Zach?
The Falcons?
Yeah.
I'll look right now while we are talking.
Because that might be a real juicy matchup depending on what it is. And I'll definitely be tuned into that one, especially a lot of NFC teams.
There it is.
It's Bucks. So
yeah.
There we go. There we go. So we're going to see week 1.
Dude.
Man, I cannot wait. 18 days, week. Guys. 18 days.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Cannot wait.
Okay, so moving on to the NFC West. Sutton, I'll kick it to you. Any hot takes, any record predictions for you there?
For me, let me see what I have in my notes here, because I went through all of these earlier. We said NFC West, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So NFC West for me, it really comes down to the Stafford situation. I'm at such a crossroads when it comes to the LA Rams, right? And like, the news has been like seemingly like covered up for the past couple of weeks regarding his back injury. And even still today, like nobody really knows. I know he was practicing the other day, but like I heard somebody say earlier today, some veteran quarterback on some national media, sports show, and he was saying that like back injuries for older guys, for older quarterbacks, are not a good thing. That's not a good sign at all. It's something that could definitely flare up throughout the season, especially if it's kind of like spasm-ish. I haven't really heard of that per se, but it sounds like one of those sort of things where it's like a nagging thing, and it's just like every now and then, and that's why it was rumored that he was going to practice, and then he didn't practice. But basically, I'm saying all this to say, if Stafford is not ready to go, and if he's not ready to play a 17-game season, and you're looking at Stetson Bennett as your potential quarterback option for the Rams, then I'm probably going to go with the Seattle Seahawks, who I think are going to take a massive leap forward this year. I think that Mike McDonald in his second year as head coach is kind of going to have the game slow down for him as a head coach this year, and I think that they could definitely make some noise out of that division as well. The 49ers will be they'll be frisky as well. But for me, again, it's contingent upon the Stafford situation. If Stafford's healthy, I'm going Rams. If not, I got the Seahawks in a surprising one.
Ooh.
Yeah, I
Brad, what do you
saw
think?
Colin Coward. Yeah, Colin Coward is herd hierarchy. He had the Seahawks at 6. I was like, what in the world?
Whoa.
But I am going to trust the Stafford situation. I have the Rams going 11-6. I think the Seahawks, Niners, and Cardinals are all going to be right around 500. I just think the Rams, have a bit higher of a ceiling with, Adams now, Puka Nacua. I think their offense could be really, really good if Stafford is healthy. I like their defense as well. So I have the Rams winning that one.
Yeah, I am shockingly very much like you, Brad. I have an 11-6 Rams team, Niners and Seahawks hanging around the 500 range.
Yeah.
Cardinals are the mystery for me. I think that they could do damage if Stafford starts to not work out, and Darnold is a little bit of a misstep for the Seahawks. I think that the Cardinals could make a little noise. They have continuously improved record-wise. I do have them at 6-11 if the Rams situation and everything else works out in that division. But I think the Cardinals would be my sneaky team as a little possible over 500, maybe sneaking in the playoffs type of squad. Like, I love what they did in the offseason. Everything was pretty sweet.
Yeah, I like that too. Okay, moving on to the NFC East. I'll start here. It's tough to not have the Eagles winning this division, I'd say. I have them going 13-4. I don't think they might be. I mean, last year they did have struggles in the regular season. I think some people are forgetting about that. They did dominate the playoffs. But I do have the Eagles winning 13 games. Commanders, I'm a little lower on the Commanders than consensus. I don't think their roster is that great. I think Jaden Daniels is really, really good. Besides him, I don't think they have too many players that I like. I think Debo Samuel will be better than most people think. I really don't like their defense. I have them going 10-7. I think they'll make the playoffs. Cowboys and Giants are not playoff teams, in my opinion.
Ooh.
However, the Giants' defense could be very interesting, though.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Eagles to win the division as well in this one, and I think it's mainly because you're gonna see a little bit of a regression, I would say, from Jaden Daniels' rookie season. I don't necessarily think that he's gonna repeat exactly what he did in this first year. I think as teams kind of get tape on him, and this happens to everybody really. I mean, Lamar Jackson was kind of like a weirder case because he got thrust into the starting position, starting lineup in 2018. I think like week 9 or something like that.
Yeah.
But then in 2019 he repeated with an MVP season, which was absolutely insane and doesn't necessarily happen normally like that. But anyway, I think that Jaden Daniels will probably have a slight bit of regression. Not to say that he'll be bad, but I also think that the defense, like you mentioned, I don't really like their defense that much either. I think that they're very young and experienced. But yeah, I'll go with the Eagles in this one. Let me see what I had them at. I think I had the Eagles at, because you said 13 wins for the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
I actually had the Eagles at 14 wins, 14-3 this year. I think that they're going to be. They've only made good moves. They've only improved over the offseason. Like, they're the only team that just consistently gets better. And hats off to their GM Howie Roseman, because he's hit hand over foot the best GM in the league, because he's made sure that over the years, I mean, they've made all the right moves. They're not going through the same type of contract situations that teams like the Cowboys in their very same division are going through. They lock up their guys early. You know, all their guys are happy, like they just won a Super Bowl. I think that the morale is very high. You're not going to get a regression from the Super Bowl. You're not going to get a Super Bowl hangover or anything like that from the Eagles. I fully expect them to come out and be very, very dominant in the NFC. 14-3 for me.
Yeah, this is, I guess, my hottest take of the NFC. Sure, I got chalk with you guys. 13-4 Eagles, they win the division. I have a 10-7 Commanders, and I have a 10-7 Cowboys. I think that a healthy Dak puts them in a lot more positions to win, and I think that the Giants kind of round this off at a pretty crappy 4-13. But I think that people are underrating how much Dak puts them in winning positions. I don't think they did get better on defense. I'll completely agree with you guys with that. But I think that given Pickens, given CD and his constant growth, they have a weird running back room, but I think they'll figure it out and get a lot more wins than last year. Although I definitely know how the consensus feels about Dak and them. So I am also, I guess, a Dak truther in that way. So that's probably my hottest take, I think, of the NFC. I think it gets a little more hot in the AFC, though.
Yeah. Yeah. What's up, Don C? Saw him in the chat. Yeah, Zach, I agree with you about Dak Prescott. Everyone just acts like he is the 18th best quarterback in the league for some reason. And I don't understand why. He is not the issue in Dallas. I don't think he's a top tier guy, but he is not the problem.
So if not him, then who though? Just really quick.
I think their defense is awful.
Yeah,
I think they don't have a running game.
Yeah.
That's what it is to me. It's the lack of a running game. I mean, if you look at Dak Prescott's career, he's been at his best when he's had a really, really viable rushing attack to kind of back him up. You know, when it's just him and you're relying on him to, you know, get the ball to CeeDee Lamb and get the ball to George Pickens, which is something that he can definitely do, which is why he put up MVP-like numbers just a year and a half, almost 2 years ago. But at the same time, it just seems like when you need him to really win you one, in the way that like the Lamar Jackson can win you a game, you know what I mean? Like just kind of single-handedly. Dak hasn't really shown the ability to do that, you know, and there's been certain times where, you know, you expected him, you wanted him to be a game manager. And when it was time for him to manage the game, he let the clock expire and his team lost. You know, I know you guys remember that game. So it's just like, I don't know, Dak Prescott, he seems to have like a clear ceiling to me. I like the fact that they got him more weapons, but they definitely need a rushing attack. That's the biggest problem for me in Dallas.
Agreed.
I'll do this. Yeah, I'll do this.
Don C gifted 5 memberships. Appreciate it so much, Don.
Appreciate it, Don,
for the support.
Man.
Thanks, Don C. Okay, I think the most interesting division in the NFC North.
Yeah.
I have 3 teams making the playoffs in this division, guys. I wanted it to be 4, but that's never happened in the history of the NFL.
Wow.
I don't think.
Yeah.
Real quick, I got Lions at 12-5. I think there's going to be some regression with the whole brain drain thing, losing both their coordinators. But you just look at the roster, and it's like probably the 3rd best roster in the league, in my opinion, behind the Eagles and the Ravens. And I don't think you can deny that. And I do think Dan Campbell's a good coach. And I don't think defense is going to be an issue for them. I mean, they had a ton of injuries last year. I think it's more so going to be how is the offensive play calling. But I do have them going 12-5. Packers 11-6. I've talked about this with Zach. I think they're the most B-plus team you could possibly have. They don't have too many stars, but they're a really, really good team. Vikings, I have winning 11 games. I think that roster is good. I like Kevin O'Connell. And I think J.J. McCarthy is going to be good enough. And then Bears, 10-7, but not making the playoffs. I think this division is really, really, really good.
Yeah, for me in this one, I am going to go with the Minnesota Vikings to actually win this one. And the reason for me is going to be defense. I am a big fan of Brian Flores as defensive coordinator. I think he's probably one of the best defensive coordinators in the league. And for me, I just think that, like you said, JJ McCarthy, I think he's going to play well enough, and he's got a
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson to keep that offense as dynamic as it needs to be at any given moment because he can break a game open. We've all seen it before. So you put that in tandem with who is escaping me right now? Who's their running back? I'm sorry.
They have Aaron Jones. They also have Jordan Mason, so they have both of them.
Jordan Mason was a big.
Yeah. So I mean, a good rushing attack with a solid wide receiving core and a good defense, I think that the Minnesota Vikings could definitely turn some heads this year. The one team that I think will probably have a little bit of a regression is the Green Bay Packers. I think that they just kind of lack star power offensively to kind of keep up with some of the best powers and to be in the NFC. So for me, I'm just going to go with, at the end of the day, I'm going to go with the Vikings to win that division. Not by much. The Lions are going to be right on their heels as well, because I love what they have going on there. I think that, like you said, there is a brain drain with Ben Johnson departing, but they're going to be, I think, just as good, if not maybe just a little bit worse than they were last year. I think that there will be a little bit of regression because a bunch of players coming back from injury. And another thing, I think there was a lot that was put into last season, a lot of energy. I think that they're going to have what you call like a kind of like a hangover from last season, just a little bit. I think they could drop a couple of games because you think I think they went on what, like a 10 to 12 game win streak last year in the regular season. I want to say something crazy like that. So for them to have like a high of that high and then just kind of lose it all slowly, like deteriorate over the season and then get in the playoffs and just completely drop the ball, I think that they could definitely take a step back, and I think the Minnesota Vikings will take a step forward. I think JJ McCarthy is going to be really good.
I like a lot of what you just said there, Sutton. The whole thing for me, I did have the Lions winning it 14-3. I have a 12-5 Packers team, and I have a 10-7 Vikings team that misses out on the playoffs. I'm not necessarily on a McCarthy train right now. I'm gonna have to be shown it this year. That's really all I can leave it up to. I totally agree with you. Defensive wise, they are one of the premier teams, especially with Flores and all. So I think that I almost see them as a potential. I don't want to, kind of reminding me of a Steelers-esque team where the QB is super controversial. The defense is elite. Obviously, you have Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson, so I feel like they're going to put up another win or two. But I think it's a 10-7 team, and still see them somehow barely missing the playoffs. But I like what you said there, Sutton. I think it's one of those teams, Packers or Vikings, that would have the step back and slip out of the playoffs. I like that. I like that take a lot.
This is a really exciting division. Like I'm very excited to see how this plays out. And I mean, I have all four teams finishing above, 10 wins or above. So that's probably not going to happen. One of these teams is probably going to be bad, but it was tough for me to pick one. And I do think, Caleb Williams did look good in the preseason game. It is preseason. Kenny Pickett looked good in preseason a few years ago, but I do think he'll have a good season with Ben Johnson. Okay, let's sort of run through our, playoff pictures. So I have Eagles, Lions, Rams, and Bucks winning the division, even though, the NFC South does kind of annoy me because I have the Bucks going 10-7. A 10-win team should not have a home playoff game. I have the Packers and Vikings as wild card teams, along with the Commanders just making it in ahead of the Bears.
Ah, man, Commanders just making it ahead of. I mean, I don't know, man. I think that the Bears could be a little. They're probably the most interesting team in the league this year to me.
They might be.
Maybe just because, and I was talking to Alex about this yesterday. I think that getting a Ben Johnson in that building, he's kind of taken some of the culture that was established in Detroit last year, and he's taken that right over to Chicago. And I think it fits in very, very well with that city. And all you really have to do is kind of, I think, settle down Caleb Williams, as a quarterback in the NFL. And I think that you can fully unlock his full potential that way. And you do that by protecting him. You do that by, making sure that he has, everything that he needs at his disposal. Because last year let's just be real, he got inserted into a dumpster fire under Matt Eberflus and that, regime. So it's just, I think that the Bears could be frisky, but at the same time, though, there's a lot of guys and there's a lot of teams in that division who are going to be challenging them. So I have the Eagles as the 1 seed. And then I've got Rams. I've got and again, that's contingent upon the Stafford thing. I've got the Lions. I've got the Vikings actually making it as well as a wild card. Or actually, no, Lions as a wild card, Vikings as the division winners. Let me see here. I also have. I actually wanted to get rid of them. Let me see. No, because I like what you're saying about the Commanders. Now that I'm thinking it over, I think that the Commanders they probably will end up edging out the Bears, and I only say that because I mean there's just a lot of teams ahead of the Bears in their division. Sorry, I just got an Amber Alert to my phone. Damn thing.
You're good.
Hopefully you guys can still hear me. But
yeah,
you're good.
Zach, my sound went out on you guys. Go ahead and take it away. I gotta get my sound right really quick.
Oh, really? Okay. My seeding 1 through 7, starting with 1. Lions, Eagles, Rams, Falcons as the division winners. Then I have Packers, Cowboys, Commanders. I think the biggest note that I had for the Commanders is that they were 8-2 in one-score games, and I think that just has to iron out a little bit. I think the same thing goes for the Vikings. I believe they were 6-2 or 6-1 in those one-score games, and I think one of those has to break. It could be both. I think that really summarizes how I feel about the NFC this year, just seeing a little more of the top, as in Lions and Eagles kind of separating themselves. And but I love the toss-up of the NFC West and South. It is such, like, you pick who you're most confident in. It's almost like a favoritism or I got like confidence in them. You know, it's such a great 2 divisions for playoff talk.
Agreed. Okay. We went through that pretty efficiently. Let's hop on over to the AFC. And let's start with the AFC South. Texans, Jags, Titans, Colts. Zach, I'll let you start here.
So the number 1 overall pick and his Titans, I have last in the division, 6-11. I didn't want to put them with you.
Oh, the Titans,
yeah. And then the Colts, 6-11. The Jags and Texans I find interesting because Texans seem to have everything that made them special out in the open, and it felt like they couldn't really grasp back onto that ledge. They're just holding on. And so I think they still win the division. It's a 9-8 win of the division, but the Jaguars also at a 9-8. I'm kind of impressed by them, and I think Lawrence is due for a good year. Travis Hunter included with Brian Thomas. I like that group. I love that group. Etienne, I think, is bound to bounce back after a rough couple of years. I think their offense is what's going to make them special, but they could be fighting for a potential division title by the end of the year with the Texans, in my opinion. But I still think the Texans will edge them out. They're just the safer pick, I think.
Yeah, I basically completely agree with you, Zach. I have the Colts with 4 wins, which I will say I completely disagree with the Daniel Jones decision.
Me too.
I have the Colts. I have the Colts winning 4 games, the Titans winning 5 games. I think the Titans could be a tough out for some teams.
Sure.
I think Cam Ward will have a few good games, but it's going to be tough for them to make a run at the playoffs. I have the Texans and Jags both with 10 wins, but I have the Texans edging out the Jags to make the playoffs. I'm like kind of high on the Jags. I think they could have a decent year, but like the Texans, looking at the Texans roster, I mean, their defense could be really, really good. I'm forgetting their offensive coordinator's name from last year, but like their fans hated him, and he's gone now. So I think we could see a good year from them. And I mean, Nico Collins, guys, was fantasy wide receiver 1 when he went down with the hamstring injury last year. So I think they could be a pretty solid team. I mean, I have them winning 10 games, but I think they could be solid. What do you think, Sutton?
Wait, hold on. Do you have the Jags making it as a wild card then at 10-7?
No.
Oh, okay.
I do not.
Just had to ask.
Yeah, I mean, for me in this division here, it's pretty much all about the Texans. This division right here, man, is just in shambles, if you ask me. And when you talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars, this is the year for Trevor Lawrence. Like, I have to see something from him that shows that he is deserving of how much did he get? I mean, he's one of the top paid quarterbacks in the league. Yeah, I mean, I think he had like maybe like a 7 or 8 good game stretch, and then the Jaguars were like, "Yep, we're gonna go ahead and pay him." They banged the table and they paid him immediately, and he's just he hasn't really lived up to that contract. And I need to see it. And by Thanksgiving, I think we need to know whether or not that if he's like a legitimate franchise quarterback or not. So, but I still don't think that they are going to finish very high in this division at all. I think that they're capped out for me at around like 6 or 7 wins. I'd say like 7 wins being generous. To me, I just think the whole Travis Hunter thing is a big unknown. I think that he'll probably get more reps on defense than anything. I think that they're going to usher him in on defense and maybe create certain packages for him on offense and kind of use them sparingly as needed. You know, that's just me. But for me, the Houston Texans, I think that they've got this one. The only thing that I think that's holding the Houston Texans back is the lack of, you know, receiving talent there with the departure of Diggs. You know, I think that Tank Dell is somebody who they're really missing. They're really going to miss for the majority of this year. I don't think that he's even coming back this season, to be honest with
probably
you.
Not.
So, yeah, I mean, and I like Nico Collins a lot, but, you know, outside of that, it's not too much really scaring me, you know?
I think Jaden Higgins be a good player. I think they have Christian Kirk.
Kirk will help.
But, yeah, we'll see. We'll see with them. But, yeah, definitely an interesting division. Real quick, guys, NFC South or AFC South? What's the worst division? I honestly think the NFC South is a bit worse. I
think so too.
I think I would take the Texans and the Jags over the Bucks and the Falcons. I think.
How much fun would a Falcons-Texans game be? That'd be so much fun.
That would be a good game.
Man,
I feel like all of them match up so well.
They're pretty similar. They're very similar.
Yeah, I feel like they're also like perfectly coordinated. Wow.
I will say, I think, yeah, they're pretty similar. They're pretty similar. Okay. AFC West. Yeah. And at AFC West. Sutton, I'll let you start with this one.
So with this one here, I think that I don't want to be, there's a lot of promise in this division, I'll say. There's a lot of promise coming from the LA Chargers, Jim Harbaugh going into year 2 with Justin Herbert and Greg Roman, who's still over there in LA. I think that they could be a good team, to be honest with you. I think that the Broncos could wake up a lot of teams. I think they could wake up a lot of people because their offensive line is so good. And I do believe in Bo Nix. I think that he is kind of going to be that next, because a lot of people talked about Jaden Daniels last year, and rightfully so. Jaden Daniels exploded onto the scene. But Bo Nix, I was saying since week 1, I like the way this guy looks. You know what I mean? And he actually, oh my goodness, man. He actually, I just got a flashback of him bagging on, who was that, Marcus Williams?
Marcus Williams,
in that Denver Broncos game, which is funny because my Ravens calendar that I have behind me, it's on Marcus Williams for this month. It's 2024 season. It's
real quick,
crazy.
Sutton.
Yeah.
I saw it. I was watching you live a few days ago, and I was like, "Is that Marcus Williams calendar?"
Yes, it's Marcus Williams this month, and the month before that, it was Justin Tucker.
Oh man, that's a rough calendar.
Who's next month?
Crap,
dude.
I'm scared. I'm scared to flip it and see who's next month, but hopefully it's somebody good. But no, man, I think that the Chargers can be good. I think that the Broncos again can be really good. The Raiders are kind of like the little brother team to me in that division. Out of everyone, I think that they're still, you know, they're going to be very, very frisky because I love what I see from Brock Bowers, man. I really love what I see from Brock Bowers. I think that also the rumor mill about potentially trading for Trey Hendrickson, that excites me too. I don't know if you guys heard about that this morning, but that excites me. But the Chiefs, I think, are still going to edge their way out of this division as the winners. So I've got them actually going 12-5 this year, the Kansas City Chiefs. Slightly worse than last year. I don't think that they're going to win all those one-score games, but I do have the Chiefs winning this division.
What you got, Zach?
I'm going to be the one to do it. I'm giving the division to the Denver Broncos at 12-5 and the Chiefs runner-up at 11-6. I cannot imagine the Chiefs winning that many one-score games, like you said, son. I mean, that is like so far on a ridiculous in statistic-wise, probability-wise, that now I have to almost give them a little like, hey, actually, you're going to take it a little down year. I think there's so much hype around the Broncos that I'm going to buy into it. But I also have, at the back end of the division, the Chargers at 10-7. I have them sneaking in the playoffs as well. So this is my 3 playoff team division. And it might be my hottest one as well, given the Broncos, the AFC West.
Wow. I have I'll start from the bottom. I have the Raiders finishing 8-9. I think they're going to be solid, but I don't really see how they end up making the playoffs.
8-9 though.
Yeah, I do think they will be a solid team. I just cannot see them winning 10 or 11 games. I think Geno could have a good year. Bowers, I think they could have a pretty good offense this year. Again, with some of these teams, just a terrible defense when you look at it on paper, besides Max Crosby, of course. Broncos, I have finishing 10-7. I basically completely disagree with you, Zach, about like the Broncos hype. I mean, I guess not completely because I have them winning 10 games, but I don't think they are that team. By the way, defensively, Broncos may be the best in the league, but you just look at it and it's like Cortland Sutton. I think Marvin Mims is a solid player. Running backs, RJ Harvey, J.K. Dobbins. I just don't love it. I think unless Bo Nix turns into like an elite quarterback this year, they'll probably win nine or 10 games. Chargers, I think, there's a lot of hype around the Broncos, and I feel like no one's talking about the Chargers, who I think could be better than they were last year. I have them finishing 11-6, and then Chiefs 12-5. I'm not going to doubt them, but I agree. There's no way they go 15-2 again, Zach.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely not. Definitely not. And just with the Broncos, really quick, you mentioned J.K. Dobbins being running back there. I think that we could possibly see J.K. Dobbins kind of turn back the clocks this season, dare I say, with the Broncos, man. I think that the Broncos are going to have a solid rushing attack with J.K. Dobbins, RJ Harvey behind him, who I don't really expect much from. But then Cortland Sutton, Evan Ingram at tight end. Bo Nix is going to take that next step.
I did forget about Evan Ingram.
Sean Payton is going to have those guys ready to go. He loves Bo Nix. I think Bo Nix loves Sean Payton. They, I think, fit perfectly together as kind of like coach quarterback duos. I think they're probably a top 6-7 coach quarterback duos. I would love to hash that list out sometime. But yeah, I mean, I think the Broncos can be good, but the Chiefs will still win the division for sure.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said there.
I feel like I need to explain a little bit. Like, I guess what I was seeing in the Chargers and the Broncos a little. I love that we're also going to talk about J.K. Dobbins a little bit because just Ravens and all, and it feels like we're homer for him. I think that kind of setting for him, having that Harvey kid also to really amplify him, maybe turn him up to have this battle with him, is so much more different than it was with the Chargers. Chargers, it was Gus Edwards, right? And there was not really a competition.
Yeah.
So I think now that the Chargers almost in a way swapped, as in you get a Hampton and you get Najee Harris, who they'll have hopefully eventually at some point in the year. And I feel like if the Chargers, even last year, having a worse defense than the Broncos have the absolute caliber running back room that they did not have last year. With that defense, you're basically saying, can you get one more win for me? And I absolutely believe that. I think it's about the Chiefs. And if they can match that 12-5, or if they can beat that 12-5, which they definitely can, I just think that a little bit of karma comes back around for them and they drop a few more games this year.
Really quick, can I ask you guys a question?
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
This is something that we talked about on yesterday's episode of the Purple Rain podcast. I was asking Alex, like, does he think that the Chiefs pound for pound have a better wide receiver room than the Ravens? Kind of unrelated to what we're talking about, but just real quick.
Just wide receivers?
Yeah.
I think I like the Ravens room a little more.
It depends on how you feel about Rice. It's hard to talk about him.
And Worthy,
I know. I mean, Worthy has so much, lightning in a bottle, and Hollywood too. I mean, I think that
Juju.
The way I hold Rashee Rice puts the Chiefs wide receiver room above the Ravens in that way. I view him as a top tier wide receiver in the league when he can play, because last year his targets, his efficiency was just utterly ridiculous until he did get hurt. So I think that if he can keep that up, I would say that they have the better wide receiver group. But I think if he does regress, I'd give it to the Ravens. I think Bateman's better than Worthy, I think, in that way.
I think they're very close. It is close.
Okay.
moving on to probably, in my opinion, the most boring division in football, AFC East. As Ravens fans, we obviously are in direct competition a lot with the Chiefs and the Bills, fighting for 1 seeds and all that. And it really annoys me that they have no competition. I have the Jets and the Dolphins both finishing with 6 wins. I think this Dolphins era is over. I think their roster is solid. What they're doing right now, it's not working with Mike McDaniel. Jets 6-11. I think Aaron Glenn will end up being a good coach, but the roster's not there this year. As someone who was very, very much a believer in Justin Fields for a few years, I think I might be giving up, but we'll see how he does in September. Patriots 9-8. I'm not going to have them making the playoffs, but I think they're going to have a solid year. I mean, Travion Henderson, I think, is going to be a major steal in a lot of fantasy drafts. And again, guys, that defense looks really, really good. I think they got Milton Williams from the Eagles, and they got Christian Barmore, Christian Gonzalez, Carlton Davis, I think. So they got a good team. Bills, if anyone hasn't looked at the Bills schedule, like the first time I saw it, I literally got mad. It is the easiest thing you'll ever see.
Jeez.
I have them going 13-4, though. This is solely based off of week 1. I do think the Ravens will beat them week 1. If the Ravens were to lose to the Bills week 1, I would have the Bills going 14-3 and the Ravens going 12-5. So that game's really, really important. But I do have the Bills going 13-4. That's sort of my take on the AFC East, Zach.
Yeah, I got the Jets at the bottom, 6-11. I do love Justin Fields. I'm just not really bought in on the running back room. I think Breece Hall is good, but I think that their situation with him and Braylon Allen's a little shaky. I don't like that. Patriots are 7-10 for me. I want to buy into Drake May and Diggs, that connection so much. I really want to. I just can't convince myself, but I agree with you. I love their defense. The shocker for me is the Dolphins. I think when they're healthy, and in my world here they're a playoff caliber team, and I have them at 10-7 and making the playoffs. So I think that they have the caliber offense 100% to compete with any playoff team. I think that the defense is the shaky point. I think that they do, though, tend to go out there. They tried to make moves, right? Signing our former 7th round pick, Zach Sealer, to a mega deal. Acquiring Minkah Fitzpatrick, I thought was lightning, a little hidden gem for them. And I think they just got Judon as well. I think they've tried making moves to make themselves competitive. And I honestly love what I'm seeing from them. I think that they can do it, but sadly, I think that the Bills are going to take it 13-4 for me as well.
Yeah, I actually also have the Bills at 13-4 this season. I do think that one of the teams that's going to be a little friskier than maybe you guys are giving them credit for, and Bradley gave him a little bit more credit, but the New England Patriots, I think that with Mike Vrabel in there as head coach now, they've kind of reestablished a new identity, a new culture that's kind of been missing since the Bill Belichick and Tom Brady days. And I think with Drake May, at quarterback, they love him in New England right now. Like, they truly do think that he is the next gen quarterback for their franchise, and I think him with Mike Vrabel is a really good pairing. You give a young quarterback a really good defense, and then a promising running game with Ramondre Stevenson, and then the promising Travion Henderson as well. I think you could get some fruitful results, and I'll go as far to say I think that they could split with the Bills this season. I think they may split with the Bills this season, and I have the Bills going 13-4, and that being one of their losses. But I do have the Bills taking the division, and then with the Miami Dolphins, I actually have them finishing last in the division. I think that this can be like a dumpster fire type season, kind of like a massive closeout type year for the Dolphins, where they just kind of have to completely retool. Obviously, I think that if they're not successful this year, if they're not top 2 in the division this year, they're going to move on from Mike McDaniel. And I think that his regime has kind of gotten stale in the building. You've heard it from all around the league. Guys like Jalen Ramsey coming out and saying, like, yeah, I just wanted to go to a team where guys respect the coach. Like, you don't say that unless, like, you're coming from a place where the coach wasn't respected, right? So I think things are kind of falling apart in Miami. There's also the annual concern of Tua's health. You know what I mean? Like, that's just a thing. So I don't know, man. I've got Miami finishing last. I think that the Jets could be not even a surprising team, just flat out better than Miami, but I'm gonna go bottom up. Miami, Jets, Patriots second, and then Bills first.
I like it. I like it. Zach, you had the Dolphins making the playoffs, right?
I do.
Interesting. I would be very shocked.
Yeah, they don't tend to stay healthy. I'm just
Yeah.
hoping. I do tend to root for Mike McDaniels, and I do tend to root for those offensive stars are awesome.
Yeah.
I love all of
them. Yeah. All right, Sutton, we'll go right back to you. Kick us off with the AFC North.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, man. You already know. I think that this is the year where the Ravens go ahead and they win the AFC North again, but I do have the Ravens actually winning the AFC this season. I think that they can get that 1 seed and have another home playoff game in Baltimore throughout. I think that would be awesome. And I have the Ravens winning 14 games this year. I have them winning 14 games. Yes. It's lofty, but I think that with like you talk about on paper, right? The Ravens have one of the best rosters, if not the best rosters in the league, I think right behind or right beside the Philadelphia Eagles, right? So with all that being said and having a star quarterback, if health is, something that we can hold on to this season, and we're kind of holding our breath right now as Ravens fans with the news that came out today, but if we can stay if we can stay healthy, then I think that this team can be really, really good. And I think that if they get off to a really good start, which I think they will, I think they'll beat the Bills. I agree with you, Bradley. I think they'll beat the Bills week 1, and that'll springboard them into winning some of those other games in week 2 through 5. And then once the schedule cools down a little bit after our bye, I think we'll kind of coast to 14 wins. I just do. But I do have the Ravens winning the division. The Bengals, I have actually a second place in this division. I think that their defense, again, is still super duper suspect. Of course, they have one of the best wide receiver tandems in the league. And they just kind of stay in games because they can score points. They were top 10 in scoring last year. I think they kind of carry that same thing into this season as well. And I have them second in the division. I have them followed by the Pittsburgh Steelers and then the Cleveland Browns. So I'm going to go Ravens, Bengals, Steelers, Browns.
I have the exact same order as Sutton. Zach and I did an AFC North preview maybe 2 weeks ago, and I flipped some things around after doing that. I have the Ravens at 13-4. That's what I predicted them to go in our regular season record prediction video. Bengals 10-7. Like, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt to go 10-7. Like, I'm assuming Hendrickson is going to play, and their defense. I mean, who knows? I think their defense. They've played their starters both preseason games, and it's been like horrendous. But I do have the Bengals going 10-7. If the Bengals falter at all, look out for the Jags. Look out for the Patriots for the 7 seed. Steelers, guys. I picked the Steelers to go 6-11 last year. I'll admit it. They proved me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm looking at their schedule. I know that team well. I mean, I have them going 7-10. I just can't predict them to be a good team. Browns 3 wins. What you got, Zach?
I'm the same as you, gents.
Yeah.
Browns as a 3-14 squad. Steelers, I'd give a little more love to because I think that given that they're always around that win total of 8.5, I'm giving them 8 wins. I think they're going 8-9, and the Tomlin positive record finally ends.
Yeah.
The thing for me though, given that I had the Dolphins sneaking in the playoffs, the Bengals at 10-7 miss the playoffs. I think there could be some kind of heartbreaking ending for them. But I do have the Ravens winning. From the day that you and me, Brad, predicted their win-losses, I have kind of changed my head a little bit to give them a 13-4 record instead of 12-5. So I do have them winning it, and I have them taking the number 1 seed, just like Sutton. And I think that there is, though, a little talk with the Bengals that if they can become, 33% better as a defense, they might end up in the playoffs. Like, it's seriously that little of a change. And I think bringing in a new DC and attempting to make changes to your O-line, to the defense, I think that, Chris calling me out there. As I deserve. And I think that they could do it. I think that's my biggest question mark is really this wild card situation between a Bengals, maybe a Jags, if you guys are interested in them, Chargers. I like the Dolphins a little. So I think that group is so up for grabs. Maybe it's an injury or two away, but I love talking about the Bengals being a part of it, especially if they improve that defense. That's all it needs to be.
Yeah. Okay, real quick, guys. AFC playoff picture. We all have the Ravens as the 1 seed. To not seem too biased, do we all agree that, like, if they lose to the Bills week 1, it's going to be tough to get that 1 seed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if they lose to the Bills week 1, I don't think they can get it.
No, they can't. It won't happen. And only because it'll be much like the week 1 game against the Chiefs last year. It's going to be such like an emotional thing going into that game. If they lose that game, especially in heartbreaking fashion, and then you go into a week 2 trap game against your divisional rival in the Browns, right? Like that could be a dangerous. You can start off 0-2, right? Like we saw it happen last year against the Raiders. I actually came on you guys' podcast for the very first time after that Raiders game. You know, and that felt horrible. We were talking about we might be looking at draft projections and whatnot in the next couple of weeks.
Mock drafts, fire them up.
Exactly. So, you know, I think that they have to start fast, and I think that they will against the Bills, and that's going to be their kind of like their pathway to winning that first seed.
Yeah. Obviously, I have the Bills as the 2 seed going 13-4, Chiefs 3, Texans 4, and my wild card teams are 5 Chargers, 6 Broncos, 7 Bengals. Like I said, I was deciding between the Bengals and the Jags for a little bit there. I ended up going with the Bengals, but we'll see how that defense turns out.
Yeah, I mean,
sorry.
No, you're fine. I was just gonna say, for me, it's between the Bengals and actually the Patriots. For me, I think that the Patriots could be risky enough to like if that defense, man, if Drake May can come in and like just not make mistakes, right, and just kind of let that defense keep them in games and keep it close towards the end, and maybe there's a turnover or something like that kind of swings the game their way, they could potentially finish with that 7th seed. So I'll go out on a limb and I'll say everything you said, Bradley, but I'll put the Patriots in that 7th seed over the Bengals.
Yeah, my seeding gets a little rough compared to your guys's. 1 Ravens, 2 Broncos, 3 Bills, 4 Texans, 5 Chiefs, 6 Dolphins, 7 Chargers.
2 Broncos.
It's controversial. I really wanted something out there a little.
Real quick.
No, and I like that.
Yeah. Real quick, because we do need to move on. Guys, I kind of want the Bengals to make the playoffs because they will beat the Bills or the Chiefs. They will do it.
That's true. And they could do it. They could.
And last year, I was hoping they were going to make it for the same exact reason. I mean, guys, think about it. I have 2 Bills, 7 Bengals. That is a 2-7 matchup. It is really, really interesting.
Yeah.
So that's all I'll say.
If the Ravens were to go to the Super Bowl without having to play the Bills or the Chiefs, or beat the Bills or the Chiefs, it wouldn't feel the same. Or like one or the other, you know? Yeah.
I think they would have to play one of them. But
I mean, shoot, the way that Zach is talking, the Broncos might bounce them out in the first round.
Yeah, there you go.
But I love the prediction, though. I really do believe in Bo Nix. I want to see him shine.
Yeah. Okay, real quick. We won't do this individually because it'd take a really long time. I'm going to go ahead and give my NFL awards predictions, and then I'll let you guys do it, and then we'll get into sort of our playoff predictions. Sort of going chronological order of the season here. Okay, MVP. I have Lamar Jackson winning the MVP.
Are we all going to predict that?
Probably. Listen, he should have won it last year. If he's even close to it, he's probably going to win this year because everyone's going to know he was robbed of it last year.
Yep.
So, I mean, I think it's going to be hard for him not to win it. Like, honestly.
That's true.
Offensive Player of the Year. I got Jahmyr Gibbs. I do not understand why it's in fantasy. Chase and Bijan. Why is Gibbs not in that group? I don't understand. I think he's going to have a really, really good year. Obviously, Offensive Player of the Year. Defensive Player of the Year is kind of a boring thing for me. I have Myles Garrett. Like, I don't really know who else to pick. Offensive Rookie of the Year, I have Omarion Hampton winning that. I think he's going to have a really good year. I think he's going to sort of flush Najee out by October. And 1,400, 1,500 rushing yards. I think the Chargers have a lot better of a situation for Hampton than the Raiders do for Genty. And that's why I'm going with him. Defensive Rookie of the Year, I have Abdul Carter winning that. So much to focus on in the Giants front seven. So he's in a great spot. Could have a really, really good year. I'll kick it to Sutton now for your predictions.
Yeah, I didn't take all of these down. Like you said, I agree with most of what you said, but I defer an opinion on the offensive rookie of the year one. I would prefer Ashton Genty, and only because of the coach that he's kind of like inheriting, right? Like Pete Carroll is a guy who, loves to run the football. Historically has done that with his past teams as well. And Ashton Genty is just an absolute, he's just like a tank. He's the perfect size for a running back to me, for like a bell cow running back, like a 3-down back. And he can also catch out of the backfield. He can block as well a little bit too. So I think it's just with Ashton Genty, he's going to get I think he's going to get way more volume than any other rookie, I believe, and I think
agree.
for that reason, that's why he's probably one of the highest touted fantasy players right now. I've got him in my first fantasy draft. I know that for sure. So I'm going to go with him as offensive rookie of the year. And the other one, Lamar for MVP. To me, it's going to be between Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels, because I think that the league kind of wants him to continue ascending and take that next step, forward as well. And the national media, more importantly, because those are the guys who vote on this award. They're going to want him to kind of take that next step. And then also, I'd probably throw Bo Nix in there. I think that Bo Nix, if he can turn some heads this season, if he can do what Zach is saying and lead the Broncos to the 2 seed in the AFC, listen, man, I mean, there's going to be a lot of talk about him because Bo Nix is a guy who he might be like, dare I say, he's like Joe Burrow, but just more athletic. You know what I mean? Does that make any sense? You know what I mean? Like something like that. I think Joe Burrow is an absolute ace. He can throw it anywhere on the field. He processes the game really well. But like Bo Nix, for him to be as young as he is, and I know he's not all that young, but for him to be, young in his playing career, in the NFL career like this, I think that he's got a lot of good years ahead of him, and this could be a very, very good one. So it's going to be between Bo Nix, Lamar Jackson, and Jaden Daniels for MVP for me.
Okay, well, we got a chat here from Don C. Zach, Brad, and Sutton support the ladies in chat. Absolute rock stars for all the content creators. Yeah, we love giving shout outs. We usually do it at the very end, but we could run through them now. Brad, do you want to go ahead and do that?
Tandra Bowman, Jang, Chris, one of our supporters for a while. We appreciate you guys so much. So thanks, Don C, for the donation. And
absolutely.
Keep supporting us, guys. We love it.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys. Award predictions for me? Sure. I'm going to go chalk here with Lamar. I totally agree with you guys there. But offensive player of the year, I do have a little wrinkle here. I'm going with CeeDee Lamb. I think that his production with Dak could be interstellar. And I think that I'm giving him a high odds pick here. For defensive player of the year, I think everything that I've seen from Aiden Hutchinson in the offseason has been that he is poised to take this as long as he is on the field. Especially if the Lions are to be successful on defense, it's going to have to start and end with him. Offensive Rookie of the Year, I want to pick Genty so bad. I think that everything about him seems like that's the right one. If I'm a betting man, I'm taking Genty. If I'm being bold in my award predictions, I'm going with Travis Hunter. I think that his offensive usage is going to outweigh his defensive. Sutton, I agree with you what you said earlier, that they should be using him defensively more because they need it in that department. But again, I feel like the Jags would probably go the opposite way just from the obvious, what looks the obvious. And I'm going to give it to him as a sneaky pick, although I want to side with you with Genty. Defensively, I'm going to give the people what they want to hear. I'm going to give it to Mike Green, everybody. Mike Green, Defensive Rookie of the Year. I think it's one of those guys that's, super high odds to get this. Whether it is, I think I read a few of them earlier. Jalen Walker, Michael Williams, Jihad Campbell is a sneaky one. I think that any of those are good picks, but I'm giving it to Green. I think that I love Kyle Van Noy. I think if he were to slow up in any way, they're going to start giving all those opportunities to Green. And I think if that starts happening, you're going to see it immediately start paying off, where he's going to get that efficiency and production. And I think that if that shows up, that's all you got to see. He's going to put up stats that's hopefully matching anyone that is the top of that list with an Abdul Carter, I hope. I think the Giants have a pretty stacked room in that department, so maybe he gets a few less, and Mike Green starts getting a few more numbers, good-looking numbers, and hopefully our guy takes it. I'm giving the people what they want to hear.
Yeah. I mean, maybe. I mean, if he flirts with double-digit sacks, he very well could be in the conversation for Defensive Rookie of the Year. Okay, guys, here is sort of the finale of this episode, sort of bringing up the big guns here. What ends up happening, right? Let's start in the NFC, sort of save the best for last. Wild card round, I'll start here. Should we each run through our whole entire conference, or should we go round by round?
You want to do like NFC each first? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like I'll just go through my NFC, and then you guys can sort of, if that works. Okay, so wild card round. 2 versus 7. I got the Lions defeating the Commanders. They're going to get their revenge after last year, and I think the Commanders just like, and I'm not talking about Jaden Daniels, just as a team. I think it'd be really tough to replicate what they did last year. And I think, I've talked about how good I think the Lions are. I think they can beat the Commanders. Number 3 Rams defeating the number 6 Vikings. And then I have the number 5 Packers defeating the number 4 Bucks in Tampa. The NFC South, in my opinion, is not a good division. I think the Packers are going to have a good year. Then in the divisional round, I have the number 1 seed Eagles defeating the number 5 seed Packers. The Packers gave the Eagles a run for their money in the wild card round last year. No one talks about that. They only talk about the Rams giving the Eagles a run for their money, but both games were tough. But I do have the Eagles winning. Then I have the Lions defeating the Rams. And then in the NFC Championship, I have the number 2 seed Lions defeating the Eagles and going to the Super Bowl. What you got, Zach?
Woo! Okay, so my 4 and 5 matchup is the Falcons and the Packers. I have the Packers taking that one. My 3 and 6 is the Rams and Cowboys. I'll give it to the Rams. My 2 and 7 is the Eagles and Commanders. And my bold self decided to pick the upset, and I'm going with the Commanders. I think those divisional games are always really a toss-up in the playoffs, unless it's an obvious choice. I mean, when you're talking about the Ravens and Steelers last year, everyone was scared about, the Steelers could do it, they could upset them, and then Ravens end up, absolutely smacking them. In this department, I think the NFC always has these close games, and I think that a sleeping giant is caught, and I think the Commanders upset them. Then if we go to the next round, Lions as my 1 play the Packers, and I have them winning. Then I have the Commanders playing the Rams, and I'm going to have the Rams taking that. Then we have the Lions and Rams as a pretty sweet face-off in the NFC Championship, and I think I'm going with the Lions.
There we go.
Interesting. For me, just to kind of react to you guys, because I don't have my entire bracket laid out in front of me, but for me, again, guys, like I said at the top of the show, the whole NFC thing, I really like the Rams, right? But the whole NFC thing with them is just, I don't know if Stafford's going to be readily available, and I have a feeling that he's not going to be very available for a 17-game regular season. I just have a feeling. I don't want that to be the case, but again, like, he's an older guy. He's a vet. He's a seasoned vet, right? Like, he's had multiple different stretches in his career. So I think that with this injury that he's got going on, the Rams may or may not be contenders this year. If they're not, I talked about the Vikings being a team that could potentially turn heads this season. I think that they could definitely take the next step with JJ McCarthy at the helm. I really like what they had going on last year with Sam Darnold. And I think that influxing in the younger talent of a JJ McCarthy, where kind of like his ceiling is unknown because he hasn't played in the NFL really yet. Yeah. But I like the potential. I think that there's some of that kind of Jaden Daniels type of potential that we might be able to see out of JJ McCarthy. So I've got actually the Vikings and the Eagles squaring off in the NFC Championship game. If I had to predict it And I would probably still pick the Eagles to win that one and go to the Super Bowl again.
I like it. I think a lot of people are sort of hitting on JJ McCarthy without seeing him play, and I just think they're going to be a good team this year.
I do, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so Zach and I have the Lions in the Super Bowl. Sutton has the Eagles. I'm going to be a little bit honest. Like, I just didn't want to have the Eagles in the Super Bowl again, but I think the Lions could surprise some people. I mean, their defense was so injured last year, and they're probably. I mean, you can't get that unlucky 2 years in a row.
It's true.
Okay, AFC, I'll go first. The number 2 Bills, I do have them beating the Bengals in the wild card round. Number 3 Chiefs, I have them beating the Broncos in the wild card round. Zach's Broncos. And then Justin Herbert revenge game in Houston. I have the Chargers beating the Texans in Houston for the wild card round. And guys, this is what is so big about the 1 seed. Not only are you at home, the divisional round game is like low key. And I say low key, I mean low key. Low key a freebie. Like, you got to win it. But like, the Ravens will be taking on the Chargers in Baltimore, right? And like, when they were the 1 seed in 2023, they took on the Texans. In 2019, they were a much better team than the Titans. Yes, they got blown out, but like, you get very favorable matchups even in the divisional round as a number 1 seed. So I have the Ravens defeating the Chargers in that divisional round game in Baltimore. And Bills are going to be heartbroken again, as I have the number 3 seeded Chiefs taking down the Bills in Buffalo.
Goodness.
And then I'm scared to say this, but listen, guys, I picked the Ravens to win the Super Bowl last year, and like, I'm just not going to do it again until they do it. So I have the Chiefs beating the Ravens in the AFC Championship.
Whoa.
I'm not at all saying that I don't think they can do it, but like, you guys are probably going to both have the Ravens winning the Super Bowl, and like, all 3 of us can't have the Ravens winning the Super Bowl, combined with the fact that they need to prove it to me. So I have the Chiefs and the Lions in the Super Bowl, and I guess I'll wait to reveal my winner. But Zach, what you got for the AFC playoffs?
Man, I got some chaos again. I got the 4 Texans playing at home, hosting the Chiefs. And man, this is a matchup I saw in a lot of predictions, playoff predictions, and it tended to be the other way around. But in mine, it's going to be this way. I think that it does feel weird to predict a team in a playoff position to win 3 times in a row. These last few years of just Chiefs play the Texans and they're going to beat them. In this case, I'm still going to pick the Chiefs, but man, did I want to take the Texans. Gosh, I wanted to take them. That's my first matchup. Second matchup is the 3 versus the 6. That's the Bills hosting the Dolphins. And that is my big upset. I have the Bills losing to the Dolphins. Dolphins getting a playoff win.
Zach's a big Dolphins guy this year.
And then I think if they stay healthy, they've always been a playoff team when they're fully healthy. It's just they can't stay healthy. It's almost like the Niners, right? If the Niners are healthy, they were NFC Championship every freaking time. So it's so weird to say that in the Niners case, hopefully CMC stays healthy. Hopefully IU comes back and they're dominating. But I have such a hard time saying that more with them than I do with the Dolphins. And I think that I hope the Dolphins can put it together. And I think that it is a divisional matchup in that early wild card stage that if the Bills are sleeping, I think the Dolphins pounce on them with a high-powered offense and take it. It brings me to my 2 and 7. That's Broncos hosting the Chargers. And I do love my Broncos this year. I'm going to have them winning that one. But it sets up a Ravens hosting the Dolphins. They're going to win that one. The Ravens are going to take that one. And then the Chiefs playing the Broncos, which I will give that to the Kansas City Chiefs to win it when it actually matters. And then the Ravens beating the Chiefs in the AFC Championship.
Yeah. So, Zach. So, okay.
The Dolphins in the divisional round?
I was about to say the Dolphins, I just don't know. I can't envision a universe where the Dolphins would go to Buffalo in January in that cold. It might be snowing.
No way.
There's no way they're beating Josh Allen and those boys in the wild card round. I just don't see that happening. Now that's probably the hottest of hot takes I've heard all week. I'll say that. But I mean,
I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, but I don't know, man. I don't know. Honestly, for context, I was telling Alex yesterday, I was like, you know who Dylan Gabriel reminds me of? Tua Tagovailoa. You know what I mean? Just a
Yeah.
little bit. And I'm just
Wow.
like thinking about that comparison. Like, I don't think this would translate very well to January. And I don't think that Tua's game translates very well to January. And historically, it hasn't. The Dolphins, it just hasn't either. It's just it's two different. The Dolphins aren't built for January football to begin with. And to say that they
Mhm.
would beat the Bills, who are some people are saying they're going to be the 1 seed this year. I just don't see that happening at all. I see Mike McDaniel coming out there bundled up with like 3 trench coats on and 4-degree weather, while the Buffalo Bills look like they're just built for it. I think it's just two different. There's levels to it. 2 different levels.
What a great comment from Chris.
We had some funny comments there. Makai also
That's
said this is
amazing.
one of those moments where it ends up happening and we revisit this moment.
It could
Well,
be. I just love having a hot prediction. I love it. I love it. Because imagine I'm right. I'm going to rub it in your guys' faces. But I mean,
That's
I'll
true.
take it if I don't. You're right. But I mean, it does add up. When you talk about Bills and Dolphins, it's hard to not go.
There's no
Bills
way.
beating, especially in January. I think what matters so much is whenever you get a offensive heavy team in the playoffs, and it is divisional. Where division, anything can happen. You could have the Ravens play the Browns, and they're probably going to win one of the 100 games. I mean, it's like there's so much that can happen whenever it is divisional. If it's freaking crazy, stupid snow, it could literally just be complete chaos. Like
Yeah.
I'm giving the Dolphins a chance. And I think that if they stay healthy, I think they have the superstar elements on that team. They just have to have guys that step up in the middle grounds and in the areas that they don't specifically have some big name to back them up. I think that they're capable of putting together a winning season. If it is 9-8, I guess, or anything worse, it could definitely be worse. They always get injured. Tua always gets a concussion. I think that this could be a year where they put it together. Maybe the NFL gods give them a little more luck on their side.
I'd be very surprised.
Yeah, I would definitely be very surprised.
So Sutton, who you have in the Super Bowl?
AFC, yeah, AFC Championship game. So for me, I do think that the Ravens go back to the AFC Championship game. Like I said, I think that they win the 1 seed. They get that favorable divisional round matchup, like you were talking about, Bradley. Like I remember, in 2023, everybody was expecting the Ravens to beat the Houston Texans, and that game started off kind of shaky, if I remember correctly. Going into halftime, you had Lamar Jackson going back down into the tunnel, like looking like this ain't supposed to be happening like this, and those games can get rocky too. But I do think that they take care of business in the divisional round. But in the AFC Championship game, I do think that they meet the Buffalo Bills. I think that they meet the Buffalo Bills in the AFC Championship game, man. And I think it's going to be a battle for the ages. It's going to be like that, because we're going to play them week 1, right?
Yeah.
And part of me, I want us to win that game so bad. But part of me wouldn't mind if we lost that one, if we dropped that one in week 1, you know what I mean? Just so we have something to look forward to, just like an extra, you know what I mean? Because it's last year, week 4, we ran all over the Buffalo Bills and destroyed Josh Allen, Travis Jones, basically took his life, Kyle Van Noy. And then in the playoffs, it just wasn't that same energy. Like I just feel like there needs to be a reversal of that energy. Like take some of that energy that you would put into the regular season and put it into the postseason. I feel like this is the year that it happens. Not saying that we lose week 1, but I feel like either way, this is the year that it happens. They get over that hump and they beat the Bills. So it'll be Ravens versus Eagles in the Super Bowl to me.
I like it. And like there are people in the comments obviously hating on me. First of all, guys, I had Lamar winning MVP. I have the Ravens going 13-4 and being the number 1 seed. It's just like they have to do it. Like, you know what I mean? And
you got to show me. Yeah.
Yeah. And most likely, if the Ravens win the AFC Championship and we're doing, a Q&A with Sutton on Tuesday night before the game, I'll probably say the Ravens are going to win. But like right now, and also another big thing is the Bills game. I like what you said, Sutton, about like, it doesn't matter in terms of like what happens in the playoffs. Obviously, they need to get the 1 seed, and it's big for that. But
Mhm.
like in terms of that Chiefs Week 4 game, like they gotta win that game. Like they have not beaten the Chiefs since 2021. Like they need to do that so they know they can beat them in the playoffs. I think that game is really important for the philosophical side of things.
Yeah,
Anyway,
that's
yeah,
true.
go ahead.
It's definitely more important. I think it's more important for them to beat the Chiefs than it is the Bills because the Chiefs are
Yeah,
looked at as like the Bills' big brother. So if you beat the
yeah.
big brother, you're gonna have confidence going in, facing anybody for the rest of the season. So no, I agree with that for sure.
Okay, Super Bowl predictions. I have the Chiefs beating the Lions.
Wow. Even after wow. Holy crap.
Listen,
Chiefs still win it.
if Josh Simmons turns out to be the prospect that he was, I mean, he was going to be a top 5 pick if he didn't get injured. If they can have a really good left tackle and Rashee Rice is good, I mean, I feel like it's hard to pick the Chiefs losing 2 Super Bowls in a row, So I'll have them beating the Lions in San Francisco, which is a really cool venue for the Super Bowl, by the way. I'm excited about that.
It is definitely. For me, I am going to have the Eagles going back to back and defeating the Ravens in this Super Bowl. And the only reason I say that is because the defensive line of the Eagles, I think, will push around the offensive line of the Ravens in big spots. Although I think that Lamar Jackson, of course, will not go down without a fight. He'll go down swinging, but it'll come down to a 44-yard Tyler Loop kick or something like that. And I feel like I feel like he'll miss it, bro. I'm just saying, like, I can see it. Look,
my gosh.
we're talking about heartbreak. Heartbreak. I know, trust me. I have experienced this multiple times with this team. I would want to assume that if the Ravens made it to a Super Bowl, they would continue their streak of winning Super Bowls that they've made it to because they've never lost a Super Bowl yet. They're 2-0 in Super Bowls. But I think that, the Eagles, again, very well run. They manage the game better than anybody. So if the Ravens do not get this straight when it comes to managing the game in the postseason, so not turning the football over and then having your defense force turnovers on the other team, if they cannot flip the script on that, I think that they're still going to win a lot of games in the playoffs, right? Because Lamar Jackson and the personnel on that team will win, will will ourselves to some wins. Think about it. Last year against the Buffalo Bills, I mean, we had 3 turnovers in that game, I want to say, and we only lost by 2 points. That's not supposed to happen. We were supposed to get blown out in that game, but we didn't because the team was so good. I feel like because the team is so good, they can make it to the Super Bowl, but against a team that does everything well, manages the game, turns you over. I think that the Eagles had they forced 12 turnovers in the playoffs last season, something crazy like that. That team is on top of the world right now. And I feel like they could give us some problems and we'll still keep it close, but could be some heartbreak at the end. That's just me.
Jeez. I honestly have not thought about it like that. The first time, seeing, the Ravens and Lamar have played in all of these situations through the playoffs, and the last one has you haven't played in the Super Bowl. If each of those steps and each of those opponents, whether it is the Bills, whether it is the Chiefs, that the two really that we're scared of in facing in a championship game, that they can handle now. You've been through everything. It's if you go to the Super Bowl and play the Super Bowl, the previous Super Bowl champions, and the most loaded roster in football right now, I don't know if I can pick them to win. That would be very difficult. I think that is the most difficult thing. In this prediction, sure, please take it with a grain of salt. This is just me, having a good time predicting. I do have them with the Lions. Yeah. And I think that that's a more capable team to beat.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
So that's where I would lean the other way. But I totally agree with you, Sutton. If we're talking legitimate, I need to bet on this, that type of stuff, I would absolutely think that way. And I did not honestly know that was a part of it in that kind of situation. Because honestly, I guess I'm hoping we don't see the Eagles if we were to make the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I would.
That's the last team I want to see.
Yeah.
Right. And that seems like the Goliath in that situation. I think with the Lions, though, I do have them beating them. But wow, that was eye-opening, son. Holy crap.
Yeah, it's kind of like you don't think about, and at least we are like, oh, we want to get to a Super Bowl so bad. It's like you could lose the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's funny because Chris was only happy with Sutton, and then he picked the Ravens to lose the Super Bowl.
Yeah, an absolute switch up.
I did want to pose a question to you guys solely in terms of, your mental health and like the experience. Would you rather the Ravens lose in the AFC Championship or lose in the Super Bowl this year?
Definitely losing the Super Bowl, because at least if the Ravens lose in the Super Bowl, there's not still the narratives of like, Lamar Jackson's never been to a Super Bowl. I think Joe Burrow still gets the benefit of the doubt to this day for making it to that Super Bowl a couple of years ago. Of course, he's still been very good. He's still putting putting up numbers and things like that. But like, he still gets the nod, I think, over Lamar Jackson in a lot of people's books because of that one Super Bowl appearance. So I do want that for Lamar, if anything. If he bumps his head in the Super Bowl and he gets antsy like he says he does in the playoffs, and maybe there was an interception or there's a fumble or something like that. However, I will say this. I think it'll be very, very tough for the Ravens to lose a Super Bowl, only because the Super Bowl is going to be played in a dome, right? And
Well,
like
San Francisco.
Oh, that's right. It's in Santa
But
Clara.
it's still it's a warm climate. Like
warm climate. Yeah, warm climate.
it'd probably
So
be
like,
around 50 degrees in February. I mean, it wouldn't be cold.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It'll be perfect
Oh,
because
it'll
like
be,
the Ravens will be used, and Lamar will be used to playing in the cold, right? And we know that he
Yeah.
prefers to play in warm weather. So if he goes through and he gets through the gauntlet of the AFC, and then he gets to the Super Bowl and it's like warm weather, oh, he's gonna go crazy. And I think that's the reason why the Ravens would keep that game so close. But again, man, the Eagles, they just don't make mistakes. They have a great running game. They turn you over, and like it's gonna be tough to beat those guys. It's gonna be tough. But honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. If we were to win the Super Bowl, I do want to beat the best of the best. I want to beat the Chiefs. I want to beat the Bills. I want to beat the Eagles, just so we can have those bragging rights come, this time next year.
Yeah. Two things real quick for me. Average temperature in San Francisco in February, average high is 61. So definitely would be probably pretty good weather. I will say though, like, the AFC the championships are on the same day. Like, if the Ravens were to win that 3 p.m. AFC championship and we had like Lions, Eagles at 6:30, I would be rooting so hard for the Lions. Like,
yeah,
for sure.
You got anything else, Zach?
I don't think so. I don't think I could put out anything else more than what I just said. That was about as hot as it gets. So I mean, hey, yeah, I can't say any more. If you guys have more, sure. Holy crap.
Zach's hottest take since we have started this podcast is the Dolphins winning a playoff game in 2025.
Beating
the Bills in Orchard Park.
Let's go.
I would love it. Trust me. I would love
Closet Dolphins
that.
fan?
You're right.
That would be a very fun game to watch.
For sure.
But yeah, appreciate you, Sutton, for coming on. This was a very, very fun episode. Everyone make sure to go subscribe to the Purple Rain podcast. Follow Sutton on Twitter. I think links are in the description. Any final thoughts, guys? I mean, that was a pretty fun episode.
Yeah, I mean, I know I just predicted the Ravens to lose the Super Bowl, but just like Bradley said, like if we are, sitting here in late January, early February, and we're talking about, the Super Bowl matchup, if the Ravens are a part of it, I'm going to pick the Ravens to win the Super Bowl. So it's just like, I don't know, like, all these months away from that actually happening, I'm kind of basing it off of what I saw last year. I don't think that the Ravens will continue to make these same mistakes over and over and over again in the playoffs. I do think that at some point they will have to break through, and not have 2 to 3 turnovers in a game and actually have their defense not just limit points from the other team, but actually force turnovers and give Lamar Jackson more opportunities. I think that they will get to that point. And I think that this very well may be the year, and that might be why they make the Super Bowl. But again, man, it seems like we bump our head at every step in the road. You know what I mean? Like we've gone to the divisional round, bumped our head there. We've gone to the AFC Championship game, bumped our head there, and had to restart fresh again. So I think that, going to the Super Bowl, like you said, if we get to the Super Bowl, great, but it's also very, very possible that the Ravens could lose it. So, got to take it all with a grain of salt, but we got 18 days until the season starts. I cannot wait. Hopefully I can get back on you guys' show sometime, maybe after the season starts, and we can assess the Ravens. Maybe after week 2. Maybe after week 2, we can set something up again, just like last year. That'd be fun.
Yeah, of course, man. Once a month this season again would be awesome to have you on.
Yeah, let's do it.
You are
let's do it.
definitely our favorite guest to have on.
Nice.
So yeah, man,
Okay.
it's been a good time having you on starting last season. But yeah, guys. Maybe because we had you on before the Bills lost too.
Yeah.
That's sad to look back on. But anyway.
Yeah. I kind of want to go back and watch some of those old episodes just to see
Dude,
like how we
I
were
was
talking.
I was telling Zach, sometimes I go back and watch an instant reaction to a loss. It is hilarious. Like I'm laughing
Yeah.
out loud watching it. Like I was watching our
Those are good.
reaction
They are
to the
good.
Bills loss in the divisional round, and it was hilarious.
Did you guys stream like directly after that game?
Yeah, we did.
Oh man, it was fresh. It was so fresh.
Yeah.
Man.
But like I listened to it and I'm like, dang, we had some good takes right after this game. Like,
yeah. I mean, because your emotions are so high
Yeah.
right then. And like you just memorize everything. You kind of have like a photographic memory of like
yeah.
where you lost the game. And like I've seen like, throughout the whole offseason, ESPN or like NFL Network will just be randomly playing that divisional game against the Bills.
Oh
Like
my
I'll be
goodness.
watching the game all over again. I'm like, dang, I forgot that
crap.
happened. That was a
Yeah.
huge pivotal moment in this game. And like my takes just come back to me all of a sudden. So, it's just it's crazy. But I cannot wait to get back against the Bills week 1, man. Can't wait.
For sure, man. For sure. Yeah, excited to have you on in September. Appreciate everyone for being here tonight. Like the video, subscribe if you're new. We appreciate all the support. Once again, go subscribe to the Purple Rain podcast. Check out Sutton's stuff. Links in the description. And we will see you guys next time. Peace.
Peace.